Happy Tuesday. This is More Than Just Task Management, your favorite daily podcast where we help you build a thriving business with me, Angelova, business coach and consultant, and my fellow co-host, Jores Minasvand, business consultant. Hey, Jores, happy Tuesday. You were muted.
I do this all the time. I just talk on mute. Happy Tuesday. Another beautiful Tuesday in August. I think it's the last one, isn't it? It is, yeah. Summer is over. Our lives are over. No, I'm just kidding. It's time to move south and enjoy the continuous warm weather. But before we do that, we need to talk about uh, our new subject of the day, which is, do I build my own IT capacity or do I outsource my IT? So you want me to get going, Anna, or you want to kickstart it? Totally up to you.
Keep going.
All right. So a few weeks back, we had a session about uh, technology and outsourcing technology. What a technology should a startup or a, a thriving, already started business that wants to scale, what should they adopt, and all of that. And we gave some hints on that, where you start with processes. But I think what we're talking about today is the next step. So, for example, you can go out and get a CRM tool that's online. It's a SaaS based. You don't have to worry about anything. It's just a subscription you pay. They take care of the licensing, the hosting, the scaling, and all of that. You just use and you just pay as you go. Same with your website, same with your email. But these have limitations, right? And one of the other the biggest uh, issues with these is uh, privacy and security, because you are at their mercy, especially if you're now extending your CRM or whatever service you're doing, IT service you have, to your client. Now you have responsibility to your client. So there's a lot of aspects: their data, your data, scalability. So for those reasons, and if you see that it can go somewhere, uh, you can start building your own IT. And how you do it, like you mentioned, Anna, about website development. You can either outsource your entire website to a company that does the development, hosting, and everything, and you just pay as you go, or you can hire a web developer. And then even then, you can have a choice of, do I get this web developer to develop my website on WordPress or whatever the services there are out there, Bluehost or whatever, or do I get my own server room, deploy my own server, my own DNS server? Then it becomes such a, basically you need to build your own infrastructure. Now, one way around this is that if you're willing to pay the price and have that security and scalability in your control, where that's something that you can offer to your client and you bake it in your pricing, is you can get that infrastructure instead of getting a physical room or a physical data center or rent a section of a data center. You can get a virtual version of that from the providers, hyperscale providers like Microsoft, Amazon, Google. So basically, you get virtual servers. They carve out a section based on what you want, how much capacity, how many servers. Then you have, and the good thing is that, so for example, if you want to get your own web server and host your own website on your own, you don't need to worry about the DNS, because those hyperscalers, they'll take care of the DNS, because that gets too complicated. So there are different flavors of what you can do. The question is, how much time and money do you want to put into this, and what is the ROI? Thoughts, Anna?
Very good question. And this is what I was thinking as well. Like at some point, it can come cost actually plays a role, and it can come to like you might need to get to a decision where it's like, okay, do I continue the way things are, or do I build internal capacity? And where what I mean by this is that with a lot of those SaaS products that are out there, and SaaS, it's software as a service. Like, like your CRM might be something like this. Your productivity tool might be something like this. A lot of the things you do might be fall into that category. And one thing though is that a lot of these, like they have, for example, personal use, and then they might have some kind of like a, for small business, right? They have a tier for small business, and because we are talking about websites, for example, and then depending on what kind of website you have, what kind of business, like at some point, the solutions that they offer, like all these different providers offer, they get to a level where it's not even listed for you to be able to opt in for this upgrade to that next plan. It's not even available. They say book a call with us. And this is where price can be a huge factor because suddenly you need more capacity. Like you need, let's say, like you have a website that's visited by like hundreds of thousands of, if not millions of people every day, right? You need probably dedicated servers for just specifically for your website. No, not shared servers because the like Bluehost, Squarespace, like a lot of these, as we are starting as small businesses, like the shared servers are okay. Like you said, those virtual things that they offer, like a lot of these things are okay. But as the business grows and as your needs grow with the business, there comes a time where you might face this decision. And definitely price and cost is one thing. Now, one thing that you always say, Jores, which I want to bring up as well, is that a lot of times when we work with clients and when you work with some of your even contracting clients, a lot of times, like what we see is that our clients, they look at the cost from a very narrow perspective. They're saying, oh, it will cost me $50 per user, and I have 50 users a month, so it's like 2,500 a month for this one thing. No, I should bring it inside. And inside, it will cost me to build it. It would cost me I don't know, 100,000. So I'll in not 100, let's say 10,000. So in 4 months, I'll get my things, right? For example, I don't know, like forget about the numbers, but something along these lines, where like ultimately they forget that thing, Joris, that you mentioned so many times, total cost of ownership. It's not just about building something. It's not just about the initial transfer of creating something within your company, building that internal capability and capacity within your company. But then after that, it's maintenance, it's upgrades and updates. It's having people like you didn't need to have certain people like who take care of IT before. Now suddenly you need to have these you either need to hire or get outsourced contractors to monitor this for you and make sure these things keep on working, they get updated, that things are running smoothly. So, and we're not saying that one is correct or incorrect, right? Well, and that's why we're talking like when do you outsource your IT versus when do you build internal capacity? And I would say for most of us, like as business, small business owners, even medium-sized businesses, outsourcing your IT is probably the better decision. And one caveat is something that we've mentioned before in general about outsourcing and having internal capacity is, of course, when it comes to core business, your core business. If your core business, like if you are actually a tech company, a tech startup, where you build some kind of a software or application, yes, in the beginning you might be able to manage things and to set up things with outsourced IT, but at some point you will need to have the dedicated servers. You need to have the dedicated people to take care of this and run your business because it is, as I was saying, it is your core business. So I will let you speak. I think you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, and about that part that you mentioned, there are different flavors even of the outsourcing. So, for example, there are a few philosophies. Some companies they keep all of their lights on operational IT internal. because it's cheaper to find people to manage those services, and then they outsource all of their projects. So they get a company, the company comes in, builds a new framework, builds a new platform, and then they write the run book, they pass it on to your local people, and then off they go. And your own people continue managing it. The other philosophy is the opposite. You take the mundane, and I think this one is grows with size. If you're really, 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 really big, or if you think you're big, or it all depends on the dollars. It makes sense to take your entire operations, outsource this to a company that specializes, like a call center. They take over, and then you get your own people who have all the intellectual property, the domain knowledge, the business knowledge to do the projects. And as they build the projects, then they pass it on to this company to maintain. So there are different. You can also do hybrid. So it all depends on. Uh, and I love this thing. They all talk about money, but nobody does total cost of ownership. And there have been a couple of places I walked in, and after the meeting, when we walk out, a few managers come to me and say, "Can you help us? How do you calculate total cost of ownership?" So there are formula, there are ways of doing it, uh, and like you said, Anna, you have something outsourced, you bring it in, and you say, "Oh, I'm not paying uh, 2,500 for 50 licenses. I'm going to build this for $10,000 myself." Well, 10,000 is probably just the tools and the licenses. If you calculate 6 months of a full-time FTE at $100,000, that's $50,000. Plus, if you calculate quarter of their time, which is 25,000 to maintain it, that's 75,000 right there. You went from 2,500 to 75,000. Which one makes more sense? So don't look at just the numbers that are on the table. Look at the entire end to end of it. And plus, the other thing is that can my people do it fast enough, good enough than the other company, that the other one that's doing? Because if the product is subpar and you build something subpar, talk about 20, 30 people's loss of productivity, loss of data, backups, reverts. I mean, if you look at all of this, something that you would have paid 2,500, now it costs you $200,000 and more.
Absolutely. It's when you look about like, building that internal capacity, definitely consider the whole thing. Like consider how everything changes, like the people you need to have the new, like, in a way, if you don't have an IT department, now suddenly you need to have an IT department. Mhm. And like, things change, and again, sometimes you need this. And of course, so cost is one consideration. Core business, as I said, this is another consideration. If you're actually offering something that really depends, like your core product or service is actually a software or something that depends on that infrastructure and technology, and as your business grows, it makes sense to consider bringing this thing internally so you have the control, right? Like one thing we were talking about, control. You have the control of the environment, you have control of what gets updated and how it gets updated. Now, one thing, for example, that the bigger companies have that we don't have right now. Like we don't have, as a small business, we don't have this. Like one thing that big companies do is, so for example, when Microsoft pushes updates to Windows, we get these updates in our small business. We get these updates right now, right? Like we get these updates immediately whenever Microsoft pushes them. What bigger corporations do is they don't. Like they actually uh, have their own IT department push updates. Like don't allow for Microsoft to push. They have also a next filter, and we have all experienced issues. And once in a while, like every few months, there is that, oh, Microsoft pushed an update that effed up something. So. Like there are things about control. Like whenever you need the control of the environment, whenever you need to have even more dedicated capacity, you might need to look at what can you do, like in terms of internal capacity, even bringing an IT person, right? Even if this is one of the things where, Joris, you were talking about hybrid solution, you don't have to think like all or nothing kind of thinking, either or. It's an and. So the way you might think about it is, okay, as you're starting your business, in the beginning, you don't really, even if it's not, let's say your business is not a SaaS business, you don't really care about these kind of things. But as it grows, as more people start coming to your website, suddenly your needs change. Like your website needs to be faster, like it starts crashing because it doesn't have capacity. Your some of your other infrastructure might not be able to handle the things. So your solution might actually be to internally bring someone who understands all these systems, how they work technologically, and like it's it behind the scenes and manages the relationship with the different vendors. So whenever you need a new plan, they know what plan to go to. They know that, oh, now we need to move to the next level where we need to double our capacity or triple our capacity, right? So even if the infrastructure, the software you're using itself is outsourced, you can still have internal capacity in terms of a person who manages this thing. You can still start your own internal IT department in a way. And this is, if you think about it, this is how most things start actually. Like you need someone, like a competent person. And once you have like this kind of person within your team who specifically focuses on IT, then this person will be able to help you in terms of all these different decisions at different points of whether, okay, do we keep the same thing? Do we outsource? Do we bring some things in-house? So anyway, I know we've talked quite a bit now, and I know, Joris, you could share a lot on this topic. So I just wanted to hear your final thoughts.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few different flavors of this in the past, and you're right. I used to be actually that person you just mentioned that companies bring in to look at their systems and say, outsource this part, keep this part, virtualize that part. So I used to be that consultant, and I've seen all aspects of it from a $5 to $10 million company to multi-billion-dollar corporations. I've worked them all, and this is why I'm saying you need to understand the total cost of ownership before you make any decisions. And I've seen this mistake being made over and over. And yeah, at the end of the day, contact us and happy to help and share our experience.
Yeah, I'll add the link for the strategy call if you want to jump on a call with us and talk IT. We're always happy to talk about it and uh, talk servers and geeky stuff. So definitely here for you. And tomorrow we will be coming back with a completely different topic. And it's one of my favorite topics. It's all about culture and how you build a strong company culture from day one. So if you're just starting, or like actually whatever phase, like at whatever age your business is, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So while you're enjoying your breakfast tomorrow, make sure you listen to the next episode of More Than Just Task Management, the daily podcast that helps you build a thriving business, a business that not only is profitable, but also great fulfillment for you and allows you to live the life you want to live. So we'll be back tomorrow. Make sure you come back. And again, if you want to talk IT, see the link in the description, click it, book a call with us, and we will happily jump on in a call and uh, understand what's going on with your IT and what your next steps are.
Thank you, Anna.
Thanks, Joris.
Bye.
Bye.